Hello. The pregnancy test sat between us on the kitchen counter, its two pink lines mocking me. Amy was beaming, tears of joy streaming down her face. All I could think about was my vasectomy from 3 years ago. "Aren't you excited?" she asked, reaching for my hand. "We've been trying for so long. We hadn't been trying at all. The whole point of the vasectomy was that we were done trying after the doctors told us I couldn't have kids. Now here she was, somehow pregnant, acting like this was our miracle baby. How far along?" I managed to ask, my voice surprisingly steady. "About 8 weeks, according to the doctor." She patted her still flat stomach. "Due in February. 8 weeks. I did the math in my head. That would put conception right around the time of her girls' weekend in Vegas. The one her best friend Melissa swore she knew nothing about when I'd bumped into her at the grocery store that same weekend. "Have you told anyone else?" I asked, already pulling out my phone. "Just my sister. Oh, and Tom from your office. I ran into him at lunch yesterday. He was so happy for us." Tom, my junior partner who'd been working late with Amy on the Johnson account. The same Tom who'd mysteriously started hitting the gym in the mornings when Amy decided to switch her workout schedule. "That's nice of Tom," I said, scrolling through my phone to find Dr. Martinez's number, my urologist. "He's always been friendly." Amy's smile faltered slightly. "What are you doing?" "Just need to check something with my doctor. About the vasectomy. You know, since this is such a miracle and all." She grabbed my wrist. "Don't you trust me?" I looked at her hand, remembering how she'd hidden it under the table at last week's office party. The same party where Tom had spent the entire night hovering nearby, bringing her drinks. "Trust is an interesting word," I said, gently removing her hand. "Like how I trusted you when you said you were in Vegas 8 weeks ago." The color drained from her face. "What are you talking about?" "Funny thing about Vegas. They have cameras everywhere, including hotel lobbies." I pulled up the email I'd received that morning from the PI I'd hired after that grocery store run-in with Melissa. "Want to explain why you and Tom checked into the Bellagio that weekend? Or should I ask him during tomorrow's partners meeting?" Amy's mask cracked instantly. "You had me followed?" "No, I had Tom followed. After he started expensing hotel rooms for client meetings that never showed up on our calendar." She switched tactics, tears flowing. "It was just one mistake. One weekend. The baby could still be yours. Vasectomies aren't always perfect." I pulled out another folder. "You're right. That's why I got tested last week when Melissa let slip you weren't in Vegas with her. Want to see the results?" "Still shooting blanks, honey." "You don't understand," she sobbed. "Tom means nothing to me. It was a moment of weakness." For moments, actually. I started laying out photos on the counter. "Vegas. The Marriott downtown 3 weeks ago. Your gym's parking lot last Thursday. Oh, and my personal favorite, my office after the Christmas party." She stared at the evidence of her betrayal spread across our kitchen counter. "How long have you known?" "Long enough to get everything documented. Long enough to have IT pull your company emails." "Did you really think using your work account to plan your affair with a partner at the firm was smart?" "The firm," she whispered. "You'll destroy his career." "Interesting that's your first concern. Not our marriage, not your pregnancy, but Tom's career." I leaned back against the refrigerator, covered in ultrasound appointment reminders she'd proudly displayed. "Tell me something. Were you going to let me raise his kid thinking it was mine?" "We could make it work," she pleaded. "Nobody needs to know. Except I already do. And so does the board of partners." Her head snapped up. "What?" "Emergency meeting tomorrow morning. Sexual misconduct between senior partners and subordinates? Very messy. Especially since you process Tom's expense reports yourself. That's fraud, Amy. You can't prove. Your hotel receipts matched his expense reports down to the minibar charges. And those emails." I whistled. Human resources had a field day with those. Particularly the ones about trying to get pregnant to lock down your future. She sank into a kitchen chair. "When?" "Meetings at 9. Tom's already been notified, though he might be busy dealing with his wife. She got copies of everything an hour ago." "You bastard," says the woman who was going to trick me into raising my coworker's baby. I headed for the door, grabbing my pre-packed overnight bag. By the way, I wouldn't bother going to work tomorrow. Your termination paperwork is already being processed. Where are you going? I paused in the doorway. To meet my lawyer. Divorce papers will be ready in the morning. Don't worry about rushing to sign them. You'll have plenty of free time now that you're unemployed. The partners' meeting was everything I'd hoped for. Tom walked in confidently until he saw the evidence packets on the conference table. His wife had apparently spent the night throwing his clothes onto their front lawn. Before we begin, I announced, I should mention this meeting is being recorded for HR purposes. Amy burst through the doors, mascara streaking her face. You can't do this. Mrs. Henderson, our senior partner Margaret raised an eyebrow. I believe your access card was deactivated last night. I had security escort her up, I explained. Thought she should be here for this part. Tom wouldn't look at either of us. His hands shook as he flipped through the packet hotel receipts, email printouts, security camera stills. The photo of him and Amy in my office particularly seemed to interest the other partners. That's my desk, Margaret noted coldly. The one you're using in that photo. It was after hours, Amy tried weakly. During the firm's Christmas party, I corrected, while you were both on duty supervising staff. Speaking of staff, I nodded to our HR director who opened another folder. We've had 3 sexual harassment complaints, she began, all involving Mr. Mitchell pressuring junior associates for private meetings using Mrs. Henderson's authority as leverage. Tom's head snapped up. That's a lie. Really? I slid forward some emails. Because these messages show you threatening to have Amy fire Sarah Collins if she didn't meet you at the Marriott. The same night you expensed a room there. You said she was underperforming. Amy turned on Tom. You said we needed to document. Oh, honey, I interrupted. Did you really think you were special? That you were the only one? The color drained from her face as she realized she just admitted to helping Tom target other women. Mrs. Henderson, Margaret's voice could have frozen hell. Did you knowingly assist in coercing employees into sexual situations? I didn't know, Amy stammered. He said they were performance reviews. The same way you were reviewing the Johnson account? I pulled up the security footage from my office. Interesting review technique. Enough. Tom stood up. I want my lawyer. They're welcome to attend your disbarment hearing, Margaret replied. The ethics board received copies of everything this morning. Along with the DA's office, fraud charges are their jurisdiction. After all, Amy swayed on her feet. Criminal charges? Falsifying expense reports? Misuse of firm resources? Sexual harassment? Coercion of employees? I ticked them off on my fingers. Oh, and let's not forget the best part. Using company funds to pursue your little pregnancy scheme. The room went silent. Amy's hands flew to her stomach instinctively. What pregnancy scheme? Margaret asked sharply. I pulled out the final set of emails. Apparently Tom and Amy decided a baby would ensure her a hefty settlement in the divorce they assumed would follow. The timestamps on these messages are particularly interesting right before their Vegas trip. You planned this. Tom finally looked at Amy. Getting pregnant was your idea? You agreed, she shot back. You said it was perfect timing. Stop talking, Tom snapped. Both of you are fired. Security will escort you out. The police have already been notified. As they were led away, Margaret turned to me. How long have you known? Long enough to get everything documented, including proof the baby isn't mine. I gathered my papers. Now if you'll excuse me, I have a meeting with my divorce attorney, though I suspect the criminal charges will delay proceedings somewhat. Amy tried damage control through our social circle first. She showed up crying at our couple's friends' homes, spinning tales about how I'd driven her to cheat, how Tom had manipulated her, how the pregnancy was an accident. It might have worked, except I'd already shared the emails detailing their pregnancy scheme. She planned to get pregnant with another man's baby and trick you into raising it? Kate, my best friend's wife, was horrified. And they used firm money to fund their affair? The criminal investigation wasn't going well for either of them. The DA was particularly interested in how many other women Tom had pressured using Amy's position. 3 more employees came forward, describing how Amy had called them into her office for performance reviews that turned into uncomfortable meetings with Tom. "We found a pattern," the detective explained during my interview. "They'd target young associates, usually ones with student debt or financial struggles. Tom would suggest alternative arrangements for advancement, and Amy would provide cover by doctoring their performance reviews. Meanwhile, Tom's wife Susan was on the warpath. She'd hired a ruthless divorce attorney who was digging through years of financial records. Turned out Vegas wasn't their first trip together. They'd been using firm money to fund romantic getaways for months, disguised as business expenses. "Did you know they took their first trip the week after your vasectomy?" Susan asked when she came to give me additional evidence for the criminal case. Amy told Tom it was the perfect time because you'd be too focused on recovery to notice her absence. I hadn't known that detail, just like I hadn't known they'd been planning the pregnancy for months, timing everything around my work schedule and their secret rendezvous. The pregnancy itself was becoming a legal nightmare for them. Tom's attorney advised him to deny paternity to avoid child support on top of the criminal charges. Amy's lawyer insisted Tom sign an acknowledgement before the DNA test could be used against them in the fraud case. "Your wife is demanding spousal support," my lawyer informed me during a meeting. "She claims she can't work due to the pregnancy and her legal troubles." "Show them the offshore account records," I replied. He grinned. "The ones showing how she and Tom were skimming firm money? Already submitted to the court, along with evidence they planned to use the baby to secure her financial future through you." That afternoon, I received a call from Amy's sister. "She's been crying for days," Janet said. "Says she'll lose everything, her job, her marriage, maybe even her freedom. Can't you help her? Like she helped those junior associates? Or Tom's wife? Or me? She's pregnant with another man's baby that she planned to trick me into raising, while stealing from my firm and helping that man prey on other women. But sure, let's focus on her feelings." The next morning, Amy was arrested at her prenatal appointment. Turns out using company funds for fertility treatments and pregnancy planning crossed a legal line from civil fraud into criminal conspiracy. The DA offered Amy and Tom a deal: plead guilty to lesser charges in exchange for testimony against each other. They turned on each other so fast it made their lawyers' heads spin. Tom admitted everything: the pregnancy scheme, the harassment of other employees, the financial fraud. He claimed it was all Amy's idea, that she'd seduced him as part of an elaborate plan to secure her financial future. Amy's version painted Tom as the mastermind, claiming he'd manipulated her into both the affair and the pregnancy. She produced secret recordings of their conversations, apparently having learned from hiding bugs in my office. Unfortunately for her, those recordings only provided more evidence of their conspiracy. "Your wife's facing 3 to 5 years, my lawyer informed me. The pregnancy scheme pushed it from simple fraud into conspiracy territory. The fact that they planned to use the child to extort money from you particularly upset the judge. Tom got 7 years. His wife Susan took him for everything in the divorce, including his partnership buyout that would have been worth millions. She donated it all to a legal fund for victims of workplace harassment. Amy's sentencing was delayed due to the pregnancy. She gave birth in custody, and the baby was taken in by Tom's wife Susan. The ultimate irony. Turns out Susan couldn't have children, which was why Tom had initially claimed he wanted nothing to do with the baby. But she decided raising the child was the perfect revenge. "I'm going to tell him everything when he's old enough," Susan told me over coffee. How his biological parents were criminals who planned to use him as a meal ticket. How they hurt people and lost everything. It'll be a good lesson about choices and consequences. The firm recovered, though our reputation took a hit. We implemented strict new policies about interoffice relationships and expense reporting. The junior associates they targeted received settlements, signed by Margaret herself with a personal apology. Amy wrote to me from prison, begging forgiveness. Said she'd made a horrible mistake and wanted to make things right. Claimed she still loved me, that we could start fresh when she got out. I sent back a single response. Copies of her emails planning the pregnancy, highlighted where she called me a gullible fool who would happily raise any baby I tell him is his. Added a note saying Susan was an excellent mother and the baby was thriving. She's up for parole in 2 years. Tom writes her regularly from his cell, probably planning their reunion. They deserve each other. Meanwhile, I sold our house and moved to the coast. Started fresh at a new firm where nobody knows my story. Dating a forensic accountant now. She finds the whole thing darkly amusing. The pregnancy scheme was their biggest mistake, she said over dinner last night. If they'd just stuck to the affair and fraud, they might have gotten away with lighter sentences. But planning to use an innocent child as a pawn in their conspiracy, that's what sank them. I just smiled and raised my glass. To bad decisions and their consequences. Somewhere in a prison cell, Amy probably stares at ultrasound photos and dreams of what might have been. Her perfect plan destroyed by her own arrogance and greed. Sweet dreams, honey. I hear prison mattresses are hell on pregnant women. Thank you for listening the story to the end. Write your thoughts about it in the comments and do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next videos. Bye.